Yo, what is up, Nemi gang? It's your boy Nemi here with another banger video for you guys. So there's no denying that Tekken 8 is one of the hardest fighting games to get into as a beginner, and just overall a very difficult game to master or just get good at. The game was simplified a bit in Tekken 8, but the depth still remains and it requires so much time and dedication to actually get good at Tekken 8. So in this video I'm going to give you guys some overall tips to just improve your game and get better at the game in general. This applies to beginners, intermediate level players and pro players as well. Now I did a first part to this video. If you haven't, please check it out. And since you liked that video so much, I thought to myself, what the hell, let me drop a second part. So without wasting any of your time, let's jump right into it. Learning frame data as a new player or even trying to understand frame data as an intermediate player can be very daunting and scary. But you don't really have to know the exact numbers for every single move when it's just starting out with the game. You just have to know the basics of what's unsafe and unsafe. So the best way to do this is to understand the threshold of safe and unsafe, which is -10. So any move above -10 is unsafe. So -10, -11, -12 going up, those are unsafe moves. Any moves below -9 are safe. So -1, -2, -3 up to -9. Any moves that start from +1 and above are safe in your advantage. So you can look at the little box below that shows frame data. If it's in red at -9 going down, that means you're safe, but it's not your turn. If it's in blue at plus, that means you're safe and it's your advantage. That's a basic way to look at it before going into the nooks and crevices of mastering frame data with each move. Just start with the basics, start with something slow, then go on from there. Sticking to the subject of frame data, I want to talk about punishment in terms of frame data as well. So Tekken is a lot different than most fighting games. With Tekken, you have different punishers for different moves depending on how punishable it is. So it can be a little bit hard to get into it as well as a newcomer or just as an intermediate player. I used to follow this rule in starting a game. It's either something is jab punishable or it's either launch punishable. So what I want you to do is get your character into practice mode and figure out their fastest punish, or even just a 1-2 jab. So for reference, I'll be using Jin here. So Jin is fastest 10 frame punisher. His fastest punisher is 2-4. Figure out their launcher as well. So most characters have a hop kick as their fastest launcher. And for reference, I'll use Jin's can here as his launching move. So what you do is, if you want to figure out how punishable a move is, for example, like Victor, put Victor into practice mode, then record them doing a certain action. So for example, I'll record Victor doing a hop kick here, record the hop kick, then block afterwards. So what you're going to do is, when the CPU does the Victor hop kick, I want you to first use Jin's launcher to figure out if that move is launch punishable. So if the move is launch punishable, you're going to see in the box, the upper box at the bottom, it says punish. It will show up in yellow. So if that shows up, that means that move is launch punishable. If you use another move, for example, I'll use Victor's string here. So this string is not launch punishable. If I record Victor to do this string, then block afterwards, if I try to punish it with a launching kick, it doesn't say punish. That move is not launch punishable. It's actually jab punishable. So when Victor does that string and you throw out your fastest punish or just jabs, the punish does show up in yellow. As I said earlier, that means the move is jab punishable. So that's a rule I want you to follow. For starters, it's either launch punishable or jab punishable. When struggling with certain moves against opponents or friends, record that move in practice mode and try to figure out if it's either launch punishable or jab punishable. The same applies to your outstanding punishment. You block a low, do your fastest launcher. Does it say punish in the box? That means that move is punishable. If it does not say punish, that move is only jab punishable. In terms of Jin, you have his while standing 4-4 as his fastest while standing punisher. That's the basic way of knowing how something punishable is if you're struggling with frame data. And as a beginner, as an intermediate player, don't be too bummed out about this. You have to start from somewhere, and this is a very good start. It's more than enough, and in time you just get better. Learning character matchups in Tekken 8 can be very frustrating. There are over 30 characters right now, with each having over 100 moves, so it can be very hard, especially if you don't really have a friend or like a training buddy to help you out. So what I usually used to do a lot is go into practice mode, get one character you feel you struggle against with the most, go to defense settings and activate the CPU. You can also activate the difficulty from easy to ultra hard. I usually used to go for ultra hard, but go with what you find comfortable and just fight the CPU in practice mode. Like, just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. The thing is, the CPU does have quite some habits you're going to get used to, and the CPU tends to spam moves that are like cheap but strong, cheap but very punishable. And in lower ranks or lower to mid ranks, people that use these characters tend to spam the same move, so this can help you out with matchup a ton. This also applies to stuff like arcade mode. Play some offline arcade mode and just try to rank up. It's less stressing because you're playing against the CPU. You can change the difficulty as well. Just get used to like random as strings, right? The snake edge moves, the low sweeps. This will help you out a lot. I did this a lot back in Tekken 6 on my PSP, and man, did it help me level up. It's a very good way to learn matchups, guys. So please utilize this function, especially if you don't have a training buddy. Watch back the replays of your losses. My replay and tips is perfect for this because as a beginner, it even shows you stuff like strings that have highs or lows in them, where you should have dark, what moves are punishable and stuff like that. But even as an intermediate or high level player, it's still important to watch back your losses. I know it sucks watching your replays of matches you lost because you'll be triggered, right? Like, why the hell am I watching this? You know, I lost, like, but it's very important because you won't really notice what you were doing wrong just after a set until you watch back a replay. You'll be like, dude, I was playing like trash. I was missing punishers. I was not breaking throws, I was not aggressive enough, I was not punishing certain moves. Like, it lets you know, like, you can see so much just watching back your losses. So for example, against this Azucena player, I get a very good whiff punisher here, Sonic Fang, boom, I go into hit, I go for his hit grab, successfully get the guessing game, take them to the wall. I land a very good counter hit here, but I drop it and I also burn my hit unnecessarily, and now she blocks my low and she gains her momentum back and into GG's. That's a big mistake I made. Watching this back now, I can see like, oh man, like how did I mess up this bad? So I'll know better next time to not burn my hit early and know the right combo to do after landing that particular counter hit with the wall blast right behind my opponent, right? So things like this you don't see until you actually watch back your replay. So it's very important, guys. Do not sleep on this. Watch back your losses and you'll get better. I promise you this. Combos in fighting games are fun, there's no doubt about this. Probably the most fun thing to do in fighting games, it's combos. But people spend way too much time doing random ass combos they find online. What I want you guys to do is have a single combo route for every launcher that your character has. Something that does good damage and cannot be easily dropped. So every single launcher that your character has, whether it's a counter hit launcher or just regular launchers, have a combo route for every of these combos. I mean hit burst combos, hit dash combos, just a normal overall wallless combos. Then from there, you can now implement to wall carries and all that jazz and start adjusting. This applies to wall combos as well. Just know your wall combo ender for max damage and for Oki Zeme. Committing too hard against your opponent when they are low on life and have rage is a mistake that a lot of players make in this game. In my first video, I spoke about how rage art is a very broken resource. It can bring you right back in the game, can deal over like 90 damage if you don't have that much health, also takes out grey health. So you don't want to be on the receiving end of this, especially if your opponent still has hit as well. So when your opponent is low on life and has rage and hit, just don't be too aggressive. You are susceptible to getting hit, you are susceptible to more risks, you are better off blocking, and especially if you have a huge life lead against them. Like, why throw out stuff like, as Alisa, right? Why throw out stuff like running 2 or down 3 or sweeps when you have such a huge life lead? I've seen so many people make these mistakes. They just want to close out the round, not to close out the round. No, just play defensive and chip them away, throw out some keep out moves until they get aggressive. They maybe spend a yellow rage art or just do something stupid and you close out the game eventually. Yes, sometimes it won't work out, but it's the most logical thing to do when you have the life lead against your opponent. There's no denying that the Power Crush Hit Engager is one of the most overpowered moves in the game right now. However, I do feel as though a lot of people tend to over-rely too much on them. Now, I think this depends mostly on the level that you are at. So if you're like a beginner to low ranks, mid-level ranks, yes, by all means, spam this stuff. There's a very low chance that your opponent knows how to deal with it. So if your character has one of these, especially the high Power Crush Hit Engagers, like spam. Like, I advise you to spam this stuff before they actually get nerfed. However, at the higher ranks, people that rely too much on power crush hit engagers get cooked a lot, especially the high power crush hit engage, because most of these are linear. Sidestep duck tends to beat most of these options, so try your best to be very unpredictable with power crush hit engager highs. I fought so many victors and their panic button is always either down back 4 or the power crush hit engager, and both of these options can be countered by a simple sidestep duck. This applies to most power crush hit engagers. Sidestep duck is hella effective against them. There are other characters that have mid power crush hit engagers like Ninas and Ravens, and these are very strong as well despite being punishable. Of course, power crushes can absorb hits and stay safe. And being a mid is a bonus because now you can throw out a mid that's minus 14, it gets absorbed and you still stay safe. And the best advice I have for this is don't be too predictable. A patient player is going to cook your ass. A patient player with a 14 frame launching move is gonna cook you. So just don't be too unpredictable. But overall, this mechanic is very broken right now. So use it as much as you can smartly before it gets nerfed. Random character string is something that a lot of beginner players struggle with in this game as well. We spoke about how this game has over 30 characters, and at least half of these have random ass strings that will completely mess up a beginner player that doesn't know how to deal with these particular strings. So what I advise beginner players to do is that know the random strings that most of these characters have. Most of them either end with highs or end with lows, and you must know how to deal with these strings, because again, if you run into someone in ranked that's also a beginner or starting out, they're going to just spam the string they think is strong or is difficult to deal with. So example, we have Brian who has 3-3. He's got two particular strings from his 3-3. He has 3-3-4, which is mid high mid, and he has 3-3-2. Now if you don't know how to deal with the string and you just try to block all the time, you won't find a way around it. This string has a high, the second hit is a high, so you can duck it. So basic things like this, right? We know how Jin 1-3, 1-4 spam is very effective at low level. Lee has random strings you need to deal with as well. Characters like Asuka, June have so many strings that you need to know how to deal with. So guys, know the character strings in this game. It will help you win more games in general. Be patient, choose your moments, and with punish. Now this one again is for beginner to mid-level players. Sometimes if you don't know how to deal with a certain character or deal with certain character situations or pokes, just be patient and use your long range with punisher. So basically like a character like Horang, right? Someone just throws something in the open, just be patient, right? And throw out with punisher, throw out a back 3. There's a high chance your opponent is going to be caught mashing. Most people tend to, everyone just wants to be aggressive in this game. So sometimes it's good to just be patient at max range, especially if your opponent has a very good long range punisher. Just wait, bro, just wait and take your moment. They will learn the hard way to stop mashing buttons, and then from there, now you can get in and start your offense. Because again, if you don't know how to deal with the character, sometimes just going in randomly can be the death of you. Patience is a virtual. Patience is very strong in this game, and trust me, it will make you 100 times better in this game. The name of the game is aggressive, but sometimes it's just good to wait and pick your moment. So there you have it, guys, just some quick fire tips to help you level up your game in Tekken 8. So if you want me to expand more on one particular tip, please do let me know. I might make a video specifically just for that tip. I do plan on making quite more in-depth guides on this. These are just some quick fire tips to remind you and help you get going. This game is a lot, like it has so much depth and it takes a lot, and I mean like a lot of dedication to get really good at Tekken. So don't feel too bummed out if you feel as if you've been playing it for months, years, and not really getting better. It takes a lot. I had Tekken 6 on my PSP, and I took this PSP everywhere. I love Tekken 8 so much. I love Tekken 6 so much. It's the only game I played on PSP, or at least 90% of the times. Dude, I played this game like crazy, and I think that's where most of my XP came from, and this is why I do understand this game to the level that I think I do, at least. So it takes a while, guys. It takes time. So just keep the grind going. So remember, I did do a part 1, so make sure you check that out. If you made it this far, please thank you so much for the support. It means a lot. Drop a like, subscribe to your boy, and as usual, may the frame data be ever in your favor. GG, my boys.